Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, of course, the owner of ChatGPT, recently put out a post on X where he was asking people, what would you like OpenAI to build or fix in 2024? Today on the podcast, I'm going to be breaking down all of the recommendations and requests that people have been putting in. I'm going to give my own request that I would like to see. And then he actually came with a follow-up post where he said, thanks a lot for some of the common requests. And he broke down some of the top requests that he was seeing. And my assumption is he's highlighting things they're going to be focusing on. So I'm going to break down what I think essentially is the roadmap to the features they will be adding in 2024 as per, users' requests. And I'm sure they have a lot of secret sauce and exciting projects that, they're not talking about, GPT-5 and everything else. But let's get into all of this. And I want to say really quickly, this episode is sponsored by AIbox. If you're interested in investing in a new AI startup, my own software company, AIbox, is launching a crowdfunding campaign on Republic. You can go to republic.com/AI-box. Minimum investments are $150. I'll leave a link in the show notes to that if you're interested, but let's get into the episode.
We gon' bring it to you just like that. Welcome everyone to the future. It's AI Chat, bringing you the interviews and giving you info to be in the know from tech company CEOs of. Rock with us, bet you gon' come back. I'm just saying the facts. This is AI Chat. Let's go.
On December 23rd, Sam Altman tweeted, what would you like OpenAI to build and fix in 2024? And, it's kind of funny. He immediately followed up by saying, wow, way more requests in the first 2 minutes for AGI than expected. I'm sorry to disappoint, but I do not think we can deliver that in 2024. So I just wanted to get that off the table right at the beginning. AGI is not coming in 2024, but we are going to see some other exciting things, and the other requests were pretty interesting. After doing this whole post, which I personally think is a fantastic way to get, user feedback and just ask them what they want on a public forum like X or Instagram or wherever else, your customers are, he got a ton of responses. Let's break down, because he followed up the tweet by saying, thanks a lot for some common requests. And I'll go through the list and then I'm going to talk about each of them. He said, AGI, a little patience, please. GPT-5, better voice mode, higher rate limits, better GPTs, better reasoning, control over degrees of wokeness/behavior, video, personalization, better browsing, sign in with OpenAI, and open source. Those are the top things that people requested, and he reposted all of that, or retweeted, right? So I think it's interesting, the fact that he retweeted this gives me the opinion that these are some things that are, if they're not immediately on the roadmap, they're very closely looking at, right, if he's talking about them. So, of course, AGI, a little patience, please. This is what he said. And I think we really can't expect that isn't going to be happening next year. And I actually already made this prediction earlier when they essentially came out with a conference that's going to be happening at the beginning of 2025, like a super alignment conference helping, discuss how we're going to deal with AGI, blah, blah, blah. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, if they're putting a conference for 2025, with this as the main focus, there's no way anything's coming out, they're not pushing anything out before that anyways, if that's when the conference is planned for. So I think that was kind of my first clue in on that. So second thing, obviously, is GPT-5. We got ChatGPT, around this time last year. And so a lot of people were hoping that GPT-5 would come out. But you have to also remember, we got GPT, then they came out with GPT-4, which was phenomenal. And so I think we will get GPT-5 next year. I'm not sure when, but I do think it's probably already underway. The training for it's probably already underway. And I think we're going to be seeing some really impressive GPTs out of OpenAI coming next year. The third thing was better voice mode. So I think that this could mean a few different things. We have a really cool feature on the app, if you've used it before, where you can essentially use your microphone and talk to ChatGPT, and it will talk back to you. So they have some pretty solid voice AI tools on there. And I'm assuming that people want more features, more types of voices, or it to be faster. We've also seen some really incredible demos this year from companies like Air AI, who are doing live, essentially it turns into a salesperson where someone could be talking with it and it could be replying in real time. And there's a couple different hacks that they use in order to do that. One of them being that it's when you get ChatGPT to say something, it's got to generate the response, and a lot of the tools that were previously built were taking those generations after they were generated and then turning them into an audio file and then sending them over to you, and there's latency and time and all of that. So some of the hacks are that I think 11 Labs solved, and maybe Air AI, is that essentially when a GPT is generating a response, word by word as it comes out, the voice thing is automatically reading it and streaming it like directly, so it removes the latency. So I think we're going to see some impressive things out of OpenAI, based off of some of the technology that we're seeing in like the voice mode area. The other thing people ask for is higher rate limits. I mean, this is going to be a request that will go on forever. And to be honest, I'm not even so concerned about higher rate limits, right? Meaning you can put in like an entire PDF of a full book into ChatGPT and get it to like find bits and pieces from it. I don't care so much about the rate limits. I mean, yeah, it would be cool. I'm sure you could do some cool projects if you have them bigger. What I'm more concerned about is even with its current rate limits, I still think it struggles to find specific things within a document, or like, I'll put in like, here's an article I wrote, write me 3 tweets, and here's like 5 tweets I've written. Write me 3 tweets based off of the content of my article that are like similar to these other tweets I wrote. And like, sometimes when I just give it like a huge piece of data, it just struggles to do like more than a simple task, So I don't know. In my opinion, better than higher rate limits. I think just doing a better job with the current rate limits it has. The next thing that they want to see is better GPTs. Now, I take this a couple different ways. Maybe people, I'm not 100% sure if he's saying like people want to see better quality GPTs, so they're in their GPT store, like those tools be better, or if they want like better, because that's not really what OpenAI does. So I think what they're saying is better tools to make GPTs. That's my assumption on that. The next one is better reasoning. This makes 100% sense. I think we would all love for ChatGPT to reason better. And I think they've done a bunch of things to try to make this better, but I think really we're going to wait till GPT-5 comes around to see the big improvements there. The next one, of course, is control over degrees of wokeness / behavior. I think we're seeing with, X or Twitter coming out with Grok, which is, supposed to be like the anti-woke ChatGPT or whatever. I think they're getting pressure from a community that doesn't feel like they want OpenAI dictating what is allowed and isn't allowed to be generated. So I think it's actually, like, I know that OpenAI obviously is based in San Francisco, where this, a lot of those ideologies people criticize it for. That being said, I've heard a lot of takes from Sam Altman himself where he's, essentially trying to be unbiased towards, obviously we have a big country and we have a big world and people have a lot of different opinions, and trying to come up with something that's a little bit down the middle seems to be the aspiration of OpenAI. At least that's kind of the vibe I get from Sam Altman. And who knows, like maybe he's faking it to appease the left or the right or whatever, faction. But at the end of the day, I think this is something they talk about, and I think they have competitors, kind of trying to outcompete them in this space. So I think we'll see them make moves to make their AI model have less biases in it, and have it so people can essentially choose their biases. I think that's what he meant by when he says like control over degree of wokeness / behavior. Maybe people want their AI model to be more woke. Maybe they want it to be less woke. Just give people control, I think, at the end of the day. I don't think that's controversial or anyone can complain or argue that point. Next is video. I think this is going to be huge. I think 2024 is going to be the year of AI in video. We're going to see some incredible things there. And honestly, some of the most exciting advancements I've seen at the end of 2023 are kind of gearing us up for that. We're seeing some amazing things out of Runway. We're seeing some amazing things out of Pika. And there's some other cool projects that I'll be talking about soon that are coming down the pipe in the video realm. And of course, my long-standing prediction is that eventually we'll be able to direct our own movies on platforms like Netflix, pick the actors, pick the plot lines, and then the actors will get a royalty for that. So he also mentions personalization. I think this is, there's a lot of different ways that goes. My big one that I'm begging OpenAI to add is folders to ChatGPT. I just want like certain projects. I have like a bunch of chat threads that I use all the time for them, and I just want to be able to sort those in folders. So really crossing my fingers they add that. Better browsing, for web browsing, I think this will be big. A lot of people use this for a lot of different things. Sign in with OpenAI. That's an interesting feature. Essentially, instead of signing in with Google or anything else, you can sign in with OpenAI. And maybe this is an interesting feature if, a lot of people have like platforms or tools that leverage OpenAI. Maybe if you sign in with OpenAI, you can use those tools for free and it just uses your OpenAI account. So I think that would be kind of a cool, functionality. And then, of course, the last is open source. Now, I don't think they're going to open source GPT-4 or GPT-5. I could be wrong, but I think we're seeing a lot of incredible things with Mistral in particular, coming out with an amazing open source model. And I think we'll see a lot more of those in the future. So it's going to be really exciting to follow. And I think we're going to see some fascinating and exciting advancements on OpenAI and ChatGPT in 2024. Stick around and I'll keep you updated on all of it. Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? I record and publish podcasts on a platform called Spotify for Podcasters, and I absolutely love it. Essentially, you can upload from your phone or computer and it distributes to every platform that plays podcasts. They support video podcasts, and you can make money on the platform with ads or even podcast subscriptions, something that has made my life so much easier as a podcaster. So if you're interested, I highly recommend you give it a try. You can download the Spotify for Podcast app or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started on your podcast today. Thank you for listening to the AI Chat Podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, I'd appreciate it if you rate me wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're looking for an innovative group of AI enthusiasts, make sure you check out our Discord channel and also our Facebook community. It's obviously a lot more interactive than a podcast, where we can actually share software tools, prompts that we're using in everyday AI. I'll leave a link for those in the description below.